Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Daily Crypto News. And the question of today is, when was the first time that you bought crypto? Was it in 2016, 17, 18, 19? Let me know in the comment section down below because I was thinking about this, and it's so crazy to sometimes think back about the prices back then. So let me know in the comment section down below when the first time was. And also, please support the channel by pressing the like button and subscribing. It helps with the YouTube algorithm and, I really appreciate it and it puts a smile on my face. So for today, the first thing I want to showcase you guys again is a little bit of a realization moment. And I really believe it's important to do this every so often just to make sure that you guys are all on the right track with the right mindset and, don't get too displaced because of all this nonsense that's going on in the crypto space. By the way, Bitcoin is up about 5.5%. And XRP is up about 2.5% to 2% at this point. So yes, it's a tweet from Dmitry Ospotstik, and it says, on June 26th of 2016, with $3,000, you could have bought yourself 468,750 XRP. By December 31st, 2017, those $3,000 that you invested would be around $1 million. And that's something that it just amazes me when I think about it. Just in 1 year, even 1.5 years, you could have just easily made $1 million with almost no investment. This I would consider as almost nothing because anybody in the world, no, I'm not going to say that. I think a lot of people in the Western world here, at least a lot of the people that are watching these videos, I believe like 60 or 70 or some percent is American. I would say about 65% of those people, then again, are able to afford themselves $3,000 within a couple of years if they really do decide to. All right, most people watching these videos, not everybody around the world, definitely not everybody watching either. But, most people will be able to. If you're thinking about investing, I think $3,000 in a couple of years for a lot of people must be doable. And just to think about then 1 year later, it would be $1 million, that's sometimes so mind-boggling. And the thing I sometimes think about as well is that a lot of people ask me whether or not we've already had the crypto boom and whether or not it's going to be impossible to make money right now. And I'll always tell them, well, yes, we've had a boom, but it's not over. And I'm still of that opinion, and very much so, because otherwise I would definitely not invest into crypto. But for right now, a lot of people are always commenting and saying that, yeah, it's all over. We missed a run, so it's not going to be happening again. And a lot of the big crypto guys often come with random predictions saying 20K this year, 100K, and 1 million, yada, yada, yada. But there's also some others who are saying, like, for example, Charles Hoskinson from Cardano, that it will take another, 9 or 10 years before we get another major bull run like 2017. And I think that's only where the question should be lying. When will we get such a big, cool thing to happen again and not if? And that goes for XRP, for Bitcoin, for Ethereum, for a couple of the other coins here. They're all so good. They'll all get themselves to another higher point eventually. It's just a little bit of a waiting game. But to me, it's a 95% chance it will happen again. And that's why I'm never worried. That's why I'm always fine if the price goes down because I have my long-term goals in place. And, that's a little bit of a motivational boost to all of you that are kind of tired of all this holding that you're doing. It's for the greater good, all right? Without holding, you would have nothing. And still here as well. If you didn't hold through for a whole 1.5 years, you wouldn't have made $1 million. And fun fact, if he sold 1 month prior, or let's say, for example, 1.5 months prior, that $3,000 would be, let's say, for example, $30,000, because then let's say, for example, it was 6 cents at that point. I don't remember exactly how much it was, but let's say, for example, 20 cents. It could have still been, let's say, for example, $50,000, whatever. It's still just really crazy to see how that 1 month made it from $50,000 to $1 million, and that's the power of waiting. Ripple just posted on Twitter, XRP's role in solving problems with cross-border payments is a perfect use case that will drive growth, which is why BitTrue decided to make it the central asset of our exchange. By BitTrue official CEO Chris Wang. Just a little bit of a boast, I believe, by kind of stating again that XRP is becoming the standard for a lot of things. However, I don't really know exactly what good this does for XRP now by announcing this, as I believe it was all kind of known already. But if some people did not know, yes, BitTrue has put XRP central, which I guess adds a lot of volume for them and adds a lot of maybe legitimacy to the coin because it's then a central asset on an exchange. And the more assets do this, the more of a chance there is for it to decouple and for it to maybe get to a higher position in the ranking. But in the small theory, it's not going to make much of a difference. It's just good, I guess, for bragging and for the adoption on a greater scale. One of the things I also must mention is that earlier today, I saw a couple of people state that XRP was not beaten by Tether in the market cap. Well, it was. I actually covered it in one of my videos as well. We looked at it when Tether was in the number 3 spot. So it's not a story made up by Bitcoin maximalists. No, it definitely did happen. ByNance, again, a freaking hero story coming out again from ByNance. They froze funds stolen from Upbit in late 2019. ByNance froze Ethereum previously stolen from Upbit immediately after the suspicious transaction was reported. An address associated with $50 million worth of hacked funds of South Korean crypto exchange Upbit has moved some of the stolen Ethereum to ByNance. The world's biggest exchange immediately froze those funds on its platform and has initiated an investigation. On May 13th, Whale Alert tweeted that the 137 Ethereum transaction was moving funds derived from hacked Upbit exchange to Binance, and according to the transaction details, the transfer occurred at 12 p.m. EST. Less than an hour later, after the transaction was flagged, CZ stepped in to tweet thread to report that the transferred funds were frozen on Binance. CZ said that Binance is getting in touch with Upbit to investigate the transaction, and the crypto exchange will also alert law enforcement authorities, CZ added. Binance's CEO wrote, "Frozen. We'll work with Upbit to verify and get law enforcement involved and hand off the funds. Waiting for someone to complain on social media about us freezing funds, but fight bad actors we must." And that's always a difficult thing for me as well to kind of get my head across. Is it a good thing or a bad thing that they have the authority to freeze funds whenever they want to? You know, to a certain degree, I would say this is amazing because it's a hero story and they're helping people who lost their money, get it back. On the contrary, it's really kind of against what we want. With the whole crypto principle where we're fighting kind of against centrality or centralization and against all these, big corporations having the control over everything. And then more so I'm talking about the US dollar / money supply and whatnot. And, Bitcoin itself is already kind of a joke on that because it's all run over on China. But then again, we're also like the way we transact everything and the way we kind of utilize everything is going through these big companies. Again, these billion-dollar companies, like for example, ByNance here, which then again kind of leaves away from the point, right? Because if you want to, you want to scam somebody, you can scam somebody, but you're not going to get your money out. It's kind of what it's looking like here. So then again, that also kind of takes away from the whole anonymity / like decentralization aspect of it. Because in theory, you should be allowed to do everything and nobody should be able to stop you because it's a push only. And, it's supposed to be that way, I guess, because that's what the true decentralization behind it would mean. However, if somebody's able to stop your funds, that kind of takes away from the whole purpose, right? Because if somebody can still control your money and somebody can just say like, all right, you know what? We're just going to take that money back from you. You're not entitled to that money, so we're going to take it. Right? Or you want to send some money? Well, not going to happen, buddy. If that's all possible, it kind of takes away from the purpose. And I'm always wondering about what's the right thing. Because fighting the scammers, really, really big plus. Becoming a centralized currency once more, kind of a big, big negative. Again, to kind of sum that up, banks right now have the authority to stop your transaction whenever they want to. And Binance has the same type of ordeal. Now, you can say, well, just don't use it. But that's always really difficult because they're the biggest. Binance themselves said that if they were to, do anything that the people didn't like, people would leave. I don't think that's true because the same for a lot of big companies, like, for example, Apple, have it. It's convenience over just like the other features, sort of. So Apple is so convenient in what they make. Their products are simple to use, aesthetically pleasing. Everybody uses it. It's a little bit of a hype type of deal. And all of that combined just makes it really, really convenient to have. However, it's way more expensive than anything else that does things better, And I'm talking about power, but I'm also talking about compatibility. For example, if you want to send photos to your computer, if you don't have an Apple computer, or you want to connect your phone to a screen or things like that, it's going to be way more difficult to do, possibly, with an iPhone. Now, of course, they're trying to help all those features and whatnot, but at some points in the past, let's say, it was way more efficient to have, like, let's say, an Android. Same kind of goes with ByNance. They're so convenient. I mean, everybody's using it. Everybody knows about it. You'll get fast help. It's all good. And even though they were to perform bad or they would do bad things, people would still stick by them, because they're just really, really convenient and popular. And it would take a very, 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 very big scandal for them to, leave ByNance, I believe. And that's also the thing. Even if they do some bad stuff, it will take some time before people notice. It will take a lot of time before masses notice. And it will take a lot of more time for people to really actively switch over to different exchanges. And that's again why I'm always on a little bit of a tightrope or whatever you say on this debate. And I don't know which side to choose. From cross-border payments to loans, Ripple is expanding into working capital lending for its RippleNet customers. Whenever Whenever I'm thinking about working capital, I think back of, of classes. It's always funny. Ripple, the company behind XRP, is better known for its cross-border payment services to banks and payment providers. The blockchain payment startup is now branching out to working capital loans for its customers. Ripple is therefore actively looking for a person to fill the position of a director of product management for the new RippleNet loan product. And fun fact, I would legitimately, I would legitimately even think about applying for this type of position. That would be really cool in that sense. According to Ripple's careers and jobs page, the firm is looking to hire a product director for its new venture. This director will lead the efforts to develop and launch Ripple's new loan product that will give over 300 RippleNet customers access to working capital loans. The suitable candidate for this role should have adequate product launch experience and should fully understand how Ripple can better serve its RippleNet customers with working capital loans. And that's again where I kind of fell down because I do not have the adequate product launch experience. I was like, maybe with my degrees and with my work experience, I could do it. But then I saw that. I was like, ooh, yeah, maybe no. I'm also wondering what it would take to get yourself in there. And again, I was not being serious about applying, by the way, because the new director will be based at Ripple's headquarters in San Francisco and will report to the vice president of product management, Amir Sarhangi, former Google executive. And then I was like, ooh, yeah, this guy must be a big one to get there. It would take another 10 years, and I could possibly fill such a position. And, that's also a trade-off which I believe has changed so much over the last couple of years for me mentally. Is the trade-off between having a job that can make a difference / you're happy with and making a lot of money. Because I don't even know how much you would earn here. But really, that's not anything of the concern when you're doing things that change lives this much. And I'm not talking about, going out there and working for $0 a year, doing like help and labor in Africa or things like that. I'm not talking about that because that, again, is another completely different path. But I'm talking about, a more so real job. You should have, you should have been schooled for, if you guys get me a little bit. And at first, when I was a little bit younger, I used to always think, you should go for, what degree you have, go for the best possible job, work in that for a little bit, earn yourself some good bonuses, like for example, with trading or things like that, or with, being a data analyst or data scientist, whatever, and earn yourself a good wage. And then I learned, it's really about what can make a difference in the world, because in the end, what's it all going to do otherwise? You have all that money, but what do you really do? And then it was like, all right, but maybe you're going to change it all on your own. And that's really difficult. And now when I'm looking at these jobs, I'm like, wow, that person has the honor of changing the world in that aspect. It's just so amazing and so cool to hear. I'm kind of getting sidetracked today. I don't know, but it's just a lot of stuff I really like to talk about, and some real cool stuff happening today as well. I'm really happy. Traders still prefer XRP when transferring funds between exchanges. An in-depth report by the Spring team highlights and confirms that traders love XRP's cheap and fast transactions. In brief, when trade volume peaks, the Bitcoin and Ethereum networks become congested. The team at Spring has researched this phenomenon and concluded that traders opt to transfer funds using XRP during such periods of congestion. And the conclusion is similar to the one made by Wise Ratings back in July of 2018, which we all covered before. People like to transact XRP especially when you're moving funds around. And basically, that's all it's meant to do, right? It's meant to be used as a transfer of value in the simplest sense. And I guess cross-border payments and exchange-to-exchange payments kind of look alike. You're just sending money to a different exchange, and what will be the most efficient way to do that? Well, through XRP. And yeah, I think this is very logical. It doesn't have the bottlenecking issue that Bitcoin and Ethereum have, and since it's the runner-up, is the third one in line. Yeah, of course, it's logical people will move over. Vitalik Buterin denies confirming July launch of Ethereum 2.0 and sets a new date. Yeah, I did not say July. Perhaps the question contained the word July, but I did not hear July when it was asked. Okay, I definitely should have heard July in the question. It was my mistake. My actual stance is that Ethereum 2 is on track in that there aren't any unexpected bumps in the road. Testnets are coming along, etc., but I defer to the client devs on timelines, and if they are now saying Q3 more broadly, then I believe them. So Ethereum 2.0 most likely set for the third quarter of 2020. Going to be interesting to see what that will bring. CEO at Real Vision, Raoul Pal, bets on Bitcoin up 100 times in the next 5 years. Just another little hint again, stating that all this stuff we're talking about of Bitcoin not being able to go to, for example, $100,000, $200,000, or even more, $1 million. It's all perspective, because it's just, if you think that crypto market is going to always stay small, always be a very, very side bet, and never really make it to the big money stage, then yes, you're most likely right. It will never become a $1 trillion, sector, and none of these coins will make it very, very broad. But if you think about it, in a bigger sense, think about, for example, a couple years down the road, think about global wealth and how it all changes. Think about what could change to, the global reserve, and that's one thing I would say, but also to the global reserve currency in that sense, and possibly some heavy inflation. Possibly a couple of other things could happen, some big catalysts. If you think about all of that, a couple $1 trillion in crypto would not sound strange to most people. And then you also have the extremer guys who say, tens of trillions of dollars or even hundreds of trillions will eventually get into crypto, which I would say is possible, maybe very far down the road, but definitely possible. And some of the others will say, well, it's just going to stay with a couple trillion. And that's where you're going to see the biggest changes in price predictions, because some will stay real and say 5 years, most likely Bitcoin going to be at, let's say, for example, 45,000, because, hey, that's kind of what logic would put us at. And some others will state, no, it will most likely be at 1.2 million or things like that, because that's kind of what the hope is for, the parabolic sense is for, and what macro catalysts will take into place, and what will take part in this whole debacle. And then, last but not least, something that I will post on my Dusty Finance channel. New $3 trillion CV relief bill. Second stimulus checks could be coming to Americans, and I want to cover that on my second channel. So make sure you check that out, Dusty Finance. A video on this is coming in a couple of hours. I think it's going to be really, really interesting. And I'll see you guys again in another crypto video. Hopefully you all enjoyed it. See you guys again in another one.